Tonya Hofmann's fabulous. Tonya Hofmann's fabulous. Tonya Hofmann's fabulous, fabulous TV show. Tonya.
Welcome, everyone. I am so excited that you're back with us today. We are going to have so much fun. I am here with my Canadian friend, Mr. Justin O'Donnell. Yay!
Morning, everyone.
He's going to be with us and just shortly. I'm so glad that you're back. You know, we always have incredible guests, so much expertise. It drives me crazy how much y'all get, because that's what it's all about, is changing lives, making things happen, really looking at what can we do right now to make a difference in our own life, make a difference in other people's lives. For me, it has to be very cohesive. It has to be a win-win for everybody. That's just the way I play. If you haven't been to the website for my organization, go to publicspeakersassociation.com, and you can find out all about how to get involved and how to become a speaker. You know, if Justin and I could be a speaker, you can too. You know, it's not that difficult. I know it seems so far-fetched. If you had told me back in 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009 that I would be a speaker, I'd be like, whatever. But if I can do it, anybody can do it. I got over my introvertness. You can get over your introvertness. If you have the shakes, I got over the shakes. If you like stumble on your name, your words, and everything, see, I still do it. So who cares? Just do it anyways. Have some fun. You know, what really it is when you are in front of a group, right? Because most speaking is in front of 20, 30 people. It's not in front of these thousands that people think of. It's in front of small groups. And it really makes a difference because you're right there and you get to see them and you get to experience them. And when you make that person cry, or you make that light bulb go on in their head, you know that you have changed this world in a good way forever. And there's nothing that can take you back from that. And that's why I wanted to bring Justin in today. He's one of the leaders. He runs my Niagara group up in Canada, on the other side of the falls. And Justin is one of those people. He has, you know, gone through a lot of the same type of struggles I've gone through in my life. And he is incredible. And I'm so excited to introduce him to you today because he's someone that you need to know, right? These are people that you need to connect with. And so Justin, so tell us a little bit about you and how you've changed your world.
How I've changed my world? Well, I changed it pretty dramatically just over a year ago when I decided to launch a venture to go into professional speaking and researching as a career.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about, you know, your struggles and how did you get to that point? What made, you know, you get there?
Well, it was a series of things. I mean, that had happened. You know, I had initially wanted to go for an advanced degree in political science with the ambition of maybe becoming a career civil servant. That didn't necessarily work out. I'm not going to go into specifics on that. I tried getting my teaching certificate. I wound up getting the master's degree, but I just couldn't deal with the little children, the disciplining. So that unfortunately didn't pan out. I even tried getting a trucking license at one point, and that didn't work out either. So I worked for a couple of years eventually as a security guard in Toronto. Then I came back to the Niagara area and I got a library science degree. And I did work as a librarian at a lower level job at Roswell Park Cancer Institute in Buffalo.
Wow.
For about 2 years. It was a digital library project that focused on documenting all the articles related to tobacco and cancer.
Wow.
And that came to an end. I tried working as a financial services advisor for Primerica for a few years. I made some money and I got a great financial education, but you know, I found that that just wasn't really my passion. And it was around that time that I joined Toastmasters International. And I've been a member of the Toastmasters for 10 years now. And it was through that process I finally started to realize I would make a better speaker. than I would as a financial services advisor. So I gave up my job with Primerica, and I am working on getting a speaking and researching business going, Blue Chip Consulting Services.
Nice. And I know you've had, struggles like so many. People look at speakers and they're like, oh, they're just so amazing. But they don't really look at the struggles that we've gone through, right? Because
we're human. We're human.
Right? I mean, I have a speech impediment. Every time they're like, why you do not? And I do, and I have to kind of get over that. And I think everybody needs to understand that we all have our issues, right?
Right, exactly.
So tell me, you go out and you really do change people's lives, and I love that, about you. You're kind of that raw person that is just who you are, and those are the kind of people that I resonate with. I see people that try to be someone that they really aren't, and you kind of come through and say, this is my passion, this is who I am, love it or not. Just, take it or leave it.
Yeah, you have to be true to your own self at the end of the day. I mean, they're really, don't try to put on an act or try to put on airs and stuff. I find that people relate best to you if you're honest about who you are and try to project that.
Exactly. Do you find that, do you have like steps or something that helps people kind of find out what that passion is and how to motivate themselves towards it?
Well, one thing I would recommend doing if you're having problems is, I don't know if you've ever heard of the passion test, but that is something it's offered, actually a number of people throughout North America offer it, and I actually did the passion test with a fellow friend of mine who's a Toastmaster, Charmaine Grace. She's a member of PSA as well. She's also a certified passions coach.
Oh, nice.
And they take you through a series of exercises that last about half a day, and you can come up with your passions. What are the most important things to you?
Love that.
Yeah, it is. It's a great exercise because it teaches you not to limit yourself to anything, and to talk about what you would do if say money were no object, or geography was no object, or or education was no object, for example.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
I remember in college, they had you take what should you be when you grow up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, really? I filled it all out. I'm all excited. They're going to tell me because I don't know what to do. A lot of people, I think, ends up being kind of the way I was, is I can really kind of do whatever I set my mind to. So when you can do whatever, what do? It's not like some people that are focused. They're like, I want to be a dentist forever, or I want to be a lawyer. There's some people that just know what they want. And other people like me are like, I could do whatever I want to do. But I took that test and it told me that I had to be a librarian.
Nothing wrong with that if you can get the work.
Well, and for me, it's just, I look back on it, and it's so funny because being in a library just doesn't even make sense. Yeah, I like to read books and stuff, but I'm not that analytical, trying to put things together in the right spot. It's not my forte. So do you have any kind of tips and techniques that you can share with us today on maybe speaking or whatever you want to talk about?
Okay, well, as far as speaking goes, my tips are to basically, you have to know your audience first and foremost. And what I try to do is try to make it understandable for everyone. What I do is I try to write speeches that can be understood basically by people with average education of grade 7. That way, everyone can join in, everyone can relate, and you're not using, big fancy words or phrases or talking about theories and stuff that it's just going to put everyone to sleep or leave everyone with question marks all over the forehead and stuff. What I like to do is I think structure is important as well. I know some speakers will like to just jump up. They have nothing prepared and they'll just spout off about whatever and stuff. And it works for some people. I mean, I'm not necessarily slamming it, but myself, I need a little more structure. So what I do is I prepare with an intro, a body, and a conclusion. And what I like to do, what I've learned from Toastmasters, is that I follow the rule of 3. I make basically, I make my point, I make my proof, and then I make a comment. And I limited my speech to three key areas. Like I'm developing a keynote right now, and it's called The Art of Failure, and I'm talking about how three famous leaders have managed to overcome a number of failures in their lives to become the great leaders that they are. So I'm incorporating the rule of three. I'm focusing just on three leaders. I could focus on 9 or 10, but that would turn into a 3-hour speech. I would put everyone to sleep, and it's only supposed to be 20 to 25 minutes. So.
Exactly. And those are the kind of things that, people really, they want to, some of the kind of the rookie mistakes, and I totally have been there, right? I think everyone who starts out there is they want to prove to the audience that they know all this stuff. So they're just like throwing all of this information to them like in a crazy manner. And people are like, okay, I'm so overwhelmed. I can't even remember what she said because you just give them too much.
Exactly.
And then they can't digest what they just heard because it's just too much information. Yeah. And I love the information that you gave about talking to a 7th grade level. I always look at talking to my 11-year-old and my 93-year-old grandfather, especially if you talk about technology or anything like that, if he can understand it, you're talking at the right level. If my 10-year-old can understand what you're saying, you're talking at the right level. And people are like, well, that's just talking down to people. They're smarter than that. And I said, yeah, they may be smarter than that. But if they miss any point, they're not absorbing what you're saying.
Exactly. Don't make any assumptions about your audience.
Exactly. And I've heard beautiful presentations and I have no clue as to what they were talking about. Because just even the way that they structure it, it sounded poetic and oh my gosh, it just flowed from their lips. But I'm like, so what were they saying?
Exactly.
Don't you find too that it's about being real? It's kind of that a lot of people use the word authentic, and I like the word, but it's kind of overused now. But it's just about being real.
I agree. You have to be real. I mean, don't try to fool your audience because they're going to pick up very quickly. What you have to do is like I said earlier, you have to be honest in who you are and how you project yourself. Because I think the audience will respect that a lot more, and I think they'll be able to relate to you, even to your, your weaknesses and your other faults and stuff, because they all have weaknesses and faults as well.
And if you talked about connecting to your audience, and I think that's also something that people miss out on a lot, especially when they're new, is to look at what kind of people are sitting in front of you. If it's a lot of men that are, maybe I spoke at a financial advisors group one time, right? There were 150 men and 3 women.
Yeah.
And so I broke everything up into step 1, step 2, step 3, because they're analytical. They have to follow things through in a very analytical process. That evening, I talked to a Mary Kay group. And the Mary Kay group was, all women. There were about 30 lovely women, all with children. They were a very specific group. So I talked more about, stories and embellishments, and talked a little bit differently. Even though it was the same presentation, it wasn't quite as structured.
Right. You have to be prepared to modify your speech for the audience that you're presenting to. You have to be prepared to make those modifications or subtle changes and whatnot. Because there are differences. I mean, speaking to a group of financial advisors versus a Mary Kay group, I mean, those are 2 completely different audiences. They probably have different goals, different objectives, and they need to learn different things.
And don't you find too, when you're selling at a group like that, if you're pitching from the stage or selling at the back of the room or something, you also have to structure what you're selling in that respect too.
Exactly. That's what I've found. Especially when I was with Primerica. I didn't do so much selling in front of the room as say at the kitchen table, speaking with potential clients and stuff as well. And there is a process, much like public speaking, as well, where you have to go and carefully explain the product and how it will benefit them.
Exactly. And women and men, we just think, and of course there's always people that are in both camps, but on general, you generally know that if you're going to go speak to women, there's a certain way, and then if you're going to speak to men, there's a certain way.
Exactly.
You just have to adjust. Do you have any other pointers you can point to us?
Any other pointers? Well, I would say if you are considering embarking in a speaking career, you have to try to be as flexible or adaptable as possible. And I'm not just talking about how you make the speeches. You have to be flexible in terms of what kind of speeches you're going to give. Like, you can just go and say, okay, I'm setting up a speaking business and I'm going to speak. And potential clients are going to say, okay, that's great. Now, what are you speaking on? Well, I don't know. You have to be prepared to give a variety of talks. Like myself, I specialize in educational workshops. For example, I've done some corporate training. I'm branching out now into motivational and inspirational speaking as well. I give informative talks on some topics as well. And you also have to be prepared to branch out into other non-speaking fields as well. A lot of speakers are holding themselves out as consultants, and with good reason, because some of them do coaching for potential speakers. A lot of speakers work as researchers because it's expected, and hopefully that the speaker who will have thoroughly researched whatever topic he or she is speaking on. So I offer research as part of my services. That's also the librarian in me as well, so it's you can't escape that. But you have to be prepared to offer a variety of services. I'm also a parliamentarian as well. I hold a full membership in the National Association of Parliamentarians, and I've offered my services as a parliamentarian for various organizations and whatnot, and I've tried to help coach them as to proper use of Robert's Rules of Order, and also to advise them at their meetings as well. So, you have to be prepared to vary yourself. If you think you're just going to go in and say, okay, I'm going to talk, I'm a speaker, I'll just talk on whatever, you can't really limit yourself like that. You have to be prepared to try a variety of things, to try to stretch and to try to grow as well.
Yeah, and some of you that are listening, you may be a little overwhelmed at this point because you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do more than just one thing. But it just comes to you, as you get out there and you start speaking, you will naturally find arenas that work for you, and I think both Justin and I have both done that. People will walk up and they're like, Tonya, can you speak about this? I'm like, sure. I know about that. And so people will see things in you that they want you to speak on. And that's a great way. So you can start off with what you're an expert in, and then kind of branch out from that,
Exactly.
So
exactly. That's another thing. A tip I would give: speak, or at least start off speaking on what you know. Myself, I have a background in public policy. I also have a background in research and in financial services as well. So I speak primarily on those topics. But I have been branching out recently and started to speak on other topics as well. Like, I've done some corporate training and things on knowing your leadership types and business etiquette as well. So it's been a bit of a learning curve for me, but I've managed to give successful presentations on those as well. You have to really be willing to to adapt.
Yes.
Basically.
And a lot of times, I find that one presentation really kind of goes into multiple types of talks.
Exactly.
If I'm talking about turning strangers into VIP clients, well, that's sales. But it's also about marketing. It's also about finding what your passion is, who your target market is. I mean, there's a lot of different things that one presentation can kind of fit into. So that's another kind of technique that you can do too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Nice. So do you find that it's different in Canada than it is in the US, in the speaking world?
I don't really notice that much of a difference because basically trying to attract clients is basically the same in both countries. The audiences you're speaking to are pretty much the same. You have to adapt your purpose and your speech to the audience at hand. Now, it might make a bit of a difference if I would say speaking on a policy or a political topic. Like, I can't say go into the United States and start discussing Canadian political problems, because I would probably just put the audience to sleep, or vice versa for that matter. I can't go into Canada and start talking about the presidential elections. They'll think, well, that's nice, but what does this have to do with us?
Yeah.
But no, in general, I find that the both of the cultures are pretty similar in terms of audience and in terms of the industry in general.
Yeah. It's interesting because speaking of, throughout the world and everything, you do find areas that are very cohesive with what you are already used to, and then other areas you really have to adjust for. And usually when people, they all want to go international speaking, but then they don't do the background that it takes to really find out how to connect with that audience right. And so they waste a lot of time and energy, traveling to France or China or wherever, and they didn't really do their due diligence and research, right, on what
exactly. Yeah, because there are a number of things as well. Like, you wouldn't find this so much if I were going to speak in the U.S., but say if I were going to be speaking, say, in Asia or Africa or Eastern Europe, I would want to know a little bit about the culture that I'm going to address, and try to make sure not to make any cultural faux pas.
Exactly.
And try to steer away maybe from topics that might be considered offensive or inappropriate.
I know. We all have a tendency to put our foot in our mouth at some point. Even I was trying to connect a guy the other day, and the person I was trying to connect him with, he was really offended that I was trying to connect him to somebody just because of the person's nonprofit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she had a specific nonprofit that just didn't correlate, but I didn't know it wouldn't correlate with him, So, sometimes, you just got to let it go.
Well, sometimes experience is the best teacher, and you have to learn from that. So.
Always. So I know that you're giving away something amazing today. So what are you giving away, and then how can they connect with you?
Okay, what I'm giving away, I'm willing to consult with anyone for up to an hour, either in person, by phone, or over the computer via Skype or Zoom. On a topic that they want to discuss, if they need like ideas in terms of coming up with a speech, or how to research a topic, or how to maybe get ahead in the speaking business, I'm here for them.
Nice.
So the way to get in touch with me would be you could either call my number. It's 1-289-696-3167. And you could also get me at my company email address. That's justin@justinodonnell.com.
So 2 J's, right?
Yes. Yeah. JJ's one of my nicknames. So it's,
yeah. Now we know.
Yeah.
It'll be JJ from now on.
Hey, it works for me. That's what my family calls me. Like, my full name is John Justin, so I was named for my father and my grandfather. So but they opted to call me by my middle name. So
I've always tried. When I was in high school, I really tried to get a nickname. My sister had a nickname. Everyone I knew had a nickname, and just nothing really goes with Tonya. I was one of the tallest kids in middle school, so I had Too Tall Tonya. Back then was kind of a nickname, but that didn't stick around much.
Yeah.
So, you're like, oh, well. Well, make sure you connect with Justin. Please take advantage of his offer. Get hold of him, because that really is an amazing offer. To be able to sit down and get some insight from somebody who knows the industry, and especially the researching, that's a very specific technique, and he can really kind of give you that insight.
It is, because a lot of people are making the mistake of reverting to using Google these days. And nothing against Google; it's a phenomenal website, but it is not the be all and the end all. And even when Google is appropriate, they don't know how to necessarily execute proper searches on Google, because it can be a lot more effective.
Oh,
realize.
Great. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, see, right there, It's just amazing when you connect to the right people who know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about, is getting connected to people that you need to know. So get a hold of Justin. If you're in the Niagara area, go visit his group. You know, find out more on Public Speakers with an S association.com. If you haven't been to the website, why not? You know, go check us out. We would love to help you become a speaker. If you already are a speaker, we'll help you even get the message out there. We're constantly sending out speaking opportunities for you to check out, you know, throughout the US, Canada, and the world, you know. So, you know, really look and see how you can change the world from the front of the room. Also, we have our public speakers conference coming up in San Antonio, Texas. So we would love to see you June 14th through the 17th. So find out more about that and all the amazing speakers that are going to be there to give you great insight and techniques that really make a difference. Plus, we've got a whole lineup of people booking speakers. So if you already are a speaker or you really want to jumpstart this year, I've got people who are booking for magazines, TV, radio, their own conferences, virtual events, everything you can think of will be there. So go to Public Speakers with an S conference.com and you'll find out all about that. So thank you, Justin, for being on today. I can't wait for you to come back on.
Okay, well, thank you for having me, Tonya. I look forward to coming back.
Yay. All right, everyone. You have a fabulous rest of your day. We will see you next show. Bye. Bye, Justin. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Take care, Tonya.